Stephen, thank you. Stephen with The Business. And we're moving over the desk to Alison Sargent, who's here for the International Press Review. Hi, Alison.
Hi, Belle.
And we're starting with the reaction to a change of tone from the Trump administration over this gas attack in Syria.
Yeah, that's right. Trump said that this attack crossed a lot of lines, and the British left-wing paper, The Independent, is asking today, is this Trump's red line on Syria? We can see on their front page the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley. She's holding up photos from that chemical attack yesterday at the UN, and she said the U.S. could be compelled to act. And now a lot of papers are highlighting this change of heart today. The Guardian says that that really is what this was. It was an immediate emotional response to these attacks, and because of that, the Guardian says it's hard to predict if this attitude will last and if the Trump administration will really follow through and actually take action. Many papers note that Trump now faces all of the same dilemmas that Barack Obama did, and there's a cartoon by Willem in Libération that reminds us that Trump blamed the attack on Obama's failure to act. So in this cartoon, there it is, we see Syrian President Bashar al-Assad cowering behind Trump, saying, "They're calling me a war criminal again." And Trump says the one who's really guilty is always Obama.
But of course, amidst all of this finger-pointing, someone who's getting a lot of blame is, of course, the Syrian president, Bashar al-Assad.
Yeah, and there's one Arab language paper that has analysis about the Syrian president's strategy behind this attack. Al-Arab, which is based in London, says that this attack comes at a politically confusing time where we see the U.S. starting to get close to Russia. And according to Al-Arab, they cite Lebanese sources that are close to Assad who say that the attack is was a reaction to this. They say the Syrian regime didn't want that collaboration because it could put them at risk, and so they actually carried out this attack to drive Russia and the U.S. apart. There are also a couple of cartoons I pulled out that lay the blame pretty squarely on the Syrian president. In this one from Al-Quds, we see Bashar al-Assad wearing a gas mask. His people, he's walking past his people and they are just turning into skeletons as he passes. There's a similar idea also in this cartoon by the Israeli-Belgian cartoonist Kichka in Courrier International. We see President Assad standing on a pile of skulls, and he's showing off what he says is the latest model of gas mask.
And, of course, blood-stained on his shirt as well. A pretty gruesome image. Well, let's turn now to the US, where Donald Trump is preparing to welcome his Chinese counterpart.
Yeah, there's lots of anticipation for this first visit between those two leaders, a meeting that will set the tone, according to the China Daily and its editorial today. It's a pretty optimistic editorial, which makes it a little boring. It has to be said they don't directly mention North Korea, an issue that many say will cause tension between those two. And so it's really a continuation of that patient tone that the Chinese government has taken with the Trump administration so far. The New York Times, though, in its editorial is a little bit more anxious about this visit. They say it's a test of whether the two men can manage the world's most significant bilateral relationship. And the risk, according to the New York Times, is that Trump knows very little about diplomacy with China and doesn't have a team of experts in place.
And it's not just the New York Times that's concerned about whether Trump will be able to hold his own against his Chinese counterpart.
Yeah, there are a couple papers today that are suggesting that Chinese President Xi Jinping could really walk all over Trump. That's a scene we see playing out in a cartoon in The Independent. Trump has rolled out the red carpet for Xi. The problem is that the red carpet is actually his tie, and as you can see there, Xi is walking all over it, causing Trump to choke. And there's analysis also in The Independent today that says that Xi Jinping will not be impressed by the usual golf and cocktails Mar-a-Lago treatment Trump usually uses to seduce world leaders. For one thing, the Chinese president has already said that he's not going to be playing any golf on this trip.
Oh, look at that. Well, it seems that Trump may be having a bit of trouble seducing Xi Jinping, but his daughter Ivanka has made quite the wave in China.
She has. They call her the goddess Ivanka. That's Ivanka in Chinese, according to the New York Times. This is a really interesting story. They report that Ivanka Trump's lavish lifestyle resonates with a lot of young professionals in a society that they say equates wealth with success. Now, Chinese companies are trying to cash in on her popularity by using her name to trademark products like shoes, spa treatments, and plastic surgery. And in this picture that we see there, that's a business student, a Chinese business student, who says that she wakes up in the morning and she asks herself, what would Ivanka do? So WWID, a new motto.
Yeah, find that on that'll be a new hashtag, right, on Twitter. What would Ivanka do? Alison Sargent with the International Press Review. Thank you very much for all of that.